evening, everyone. I welcome everyone who joined us on YouTube for today's webinar, that is quarantine webinar, that will be led by industry experts on boost up your organizational culture through rewards and recognition. I'm Sujata Sa, the Associate Director with Creating Values. Just a note to all the attendees on YouTube, we will be conducting a Q&A session towards the end of today's panel discussion. So if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box on YouTube. And on your behalf, I'll direct those specific questions to our speakers. Alternatively, you could also send us an email with your questions. So a quick introduction about Creating Values. We are an ISO certified management consulting firm, and we provide advisory services to organizations across industries. The domains in which we provide our consulting services include people and culture, which is our HR advisory arm, technology and risk is our IT consulting arm, business strategy consulting, brand strategy consulting, and executive search services. During our 7 years of operations, we have already completed more than 225 projects. We worked across 15 plus industries, and we are proud to have a repeat order rate as high as 90%. So with that, a quick reminder to all of our attendees about our next week's webinar, which will be scheduled for 28th of August at 4 p.m. How technology innovation can accelerate businesses in this decade. So we are rather taking it forward from the current times and not talking just about the pandemic times, but rather the entire decade. How can technological innovations help businesses? We'll be joined by not just technology leaders, but also business leaders from varied industries to discuss on this topic. So kindly make a note of it and please join us on 28th of August at 4 p.m. for this webinar. So with that, let's initiate with a quick introduction of our speakers who have joined us. And first of all, obviously, the panel topic that we have scheduled for today. So today's panel discussion is on the topic, boost up your organizational culture through rewards and recognition. The importance and benefits of employee recognition programs are widely known, and thus organizations have consistently invested efforts on this front. These practices have evolved over time with concepts such as total rewards taking center stage. In the wake of current pandemic, many organizations are realigning or rather revamping their R&R practices. Thus, the focus of today's discussion will be around the best practices adopted by organizations in current times and the plans for future. We have with us Mr. Ashish Srivastava. He's the Vice President HR for Relaxo Footwears. Mr. Ashish has more than 18 years of professional experience. He has also worked with some of the world's most successful and divergent businesses such as HUL, Britannia, AstraZeneca, etc. He has delivered value across HR spectrum, including organizational design, talent management, change management, mergers and acquisitions, executive coaching, and constantly worked towards enhancing business HR alignment. In his current corporate avatar, he is driving the HR strategic agenda with leadership development programs, succession planning, strong PMS process, institutionalizing the total rewards practice, driving employee value proposition, and employer branding. Along with him, our next speaker is Ms. Rati Diwan, who's heading corporate HR and organization capability and development for Max Bupa Health Insurance. She has more than 16 years of professional, enriching, and diverse experience in HR strategy conceptualization and execution for enabling higher business value proposition. She has been instrumental in creation and execution of people agenda to aid higher growth and efficiency for sustainable business model. She has led multiple OD initiatives, and her initiative on living our values got recognized as top 30 best practices at International Best Practice Competition. Progressive leader who strongly emphasizes and advocates the cultivation of culture of mindfulness. It is my privilege to interact with these esteemed dignitaries and to moderate today's panel discussion. I will be directing some specific questions to our speakers. So firstly, I would request Mr. Ashish to, become unmute and then respond to my question. So Mr. Ashish, employee recognition programs have been around for a long time. What are some of the ways in which you have seen them evolve over the past few years?
Yeah, employee recognition programs have been there for a long time, and primarily in the earlier days when I started my career as a personal manager, not an HR manager, thanks to HUL. And so, but then at that point of time, recognition programs used to be primarily focused on number one, worker level to be able to engage them. The primary focus was to able to engage the workers and take their mind away from unionism and a lot many disruptive activities they could think of. Recognition program at the staff level or at the white collar level were also a way of just engaging with them, not for and just engaging with them and driving efficiencies, especially at a manufacturing level. So suppose you've done kaizens, suppose you've done a lot many things under manufacturing efficiency or in efficiency in your area, then the recognition program was there. So it was basically related to your work, hardcore work related and work efficiency related. Over the years, it has evolved into a total business, wholesome business proposition or a wholesome business direction. For example, now the recognition programs are directed not only to bring about efficiency in your day-to-day work, but also whether you're living the values of the company or not. So like in our company in Relaxo, we have R&R in various categories. One of the categories that the award is given is iCare. We have our own competency framework known as C-Care. And if someone is living those values or those competencies and has shown exceptional thing, then he can be given an on-the-spot award by his HOD. So so that's an example of awards getting directed towards the based on the competencies, based on the values of the company. Then the awards have also evolved over a period of time in terms of innovation, driving the culture of innovation, driving the culture of customer service. Earlier it used to be, if customer service, if you are in a customer service related role, then only, and bringing it of efficiency, then only R&R would have been given. But now the definition of customer has the scope of and the meaning of customer has evolved with time. Now the customer does not mean your final end consumer. It means customer at any level, internal customer as well as external customer. So customer service related, whatever you're doing, then the rewards are now related to how much are you grooming the people under you. I mean, leadership awards. It is not only about your own area of work, but how much are you grooming people under you, what kind of leader you are, what type of team do you have. And so therefore there can be a team award, there can be a leader award. And in Relaxo, we have all such kind of awards. We have awards of in around 10 categories, and it covers entire gamut. And we have covered a journey from just being a individual efficiency-led recognition system to a wholesome, customer leadership, values, culture, competency-based, recognition system. So that's been the journey that I know of.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Ashish. In fact, yes, rightly said. Earlier, the recognition programs were mainly just performance-based, but now organizations have evolved and they are valuing behaviors far more as compared to performance. So that is an important shift that has happened over the years when it comes to employee recognition program. So with that, I will move to my next question, and I'll direct that question to Ms. Rati. Some organizations still view rewards and recognition as a nice to have intervention rather than a must have. What could be your advice to them?
So Sujata, firstly, let me thank Creating Values team and to you for giving this platform. to exchange our views and to get to know what's happening in the world. So thank you so much. And your introduction was very flattering. Thank you so much. You were very kind in your introduction. Coming to your question now. So, well, I think when we talk about rewards and recognition, it's not really something which is just, nice to have kind of a thing. In my own views, I think it is something that should definitely exist in all the organizations. Because while we talk about the typical carrot and stick approach, I think we all have evolved and we know that it is more of like a motivation. While you talk about the good work which is being done, you always want to highlight those people. And when there is not such a great work done, there are again ways to highlight. And organizations have been very innovative to even appreciate. For example, I mean, in my own organization, we have something called Dare to Try Award, right? Which is like maybe you may have launched a particular project which is ahead of its time, or maybe you did something wherein you kind of missed to plug in something which was required as part of the project. So it is more like boosting the morale of the people that go ahead and try, take that bet, and let's see what happens. So I think it inculcates a lot of innovation in the team, a lot of teamwork in the team, and it is something which each of the organization should practice. You may have individual awards, you may have team awards, you may have organizational awards, but ultimately the aim of those awards is really that how do you recognize that exemplary performance which a person has put up, and how do you align all of these achievements to the overall organizational goal that you have set for. So I think that is why my view is they are very important. In my own organization, we have got this philosophy of what, as like what you have to achieve and how do you achieve. How clearly means in terms of the values, that how do you achieve. So for us, values are the bedrock of all the rewards and recognitions that we have. If somebody who has not displayed the values will not qualify for any award, be it the base level award or be it the senior most award. So I think it's definitely a very critical factor for an organization's success.
Thank you, Ms. Rati, for sharing your views on it. In fact, yes, when we talk about innovation and how to encourage it, so then we also have to give room for failures. We have to give room for trial and errors to happen, and maybe find a way of motivating them through a rewards structure in place. So these are some of the innovative ways of even having your employee recognition programs. So thank you for sharing your views on that. With that, I will move to my next question. And this question is common to both the panelists. So I would first request Ms. Rati to briefly talk about it, and then we could move back to Mr. Ashish. Because I think Mr. Ashish deserves another award of a multitasker award. So by the time he manages something, maybe Ms. Rati could help us with that initial response.
I'm there. I'm there.
Sure. So organizations are adopting unconventional forms such as total rewards. However, the applicability may still be a puzzle for many. So what are your views on the same? So, Mr. Ashish, if you want to answer, or should I first ask Ms. Rati to share?
No. I'm game. I'm game. I was always the front bencher, so सबसे पहला question मेरे से पूछा जाता था.
Sure. So, Ashish, please.
Yeah, good. See, basically, total rewards practice in all the companies. What do you mean by, first of all, total rewards? We have to understand that total rewards is not only the comp that you get, the benefits that you get. I mean, comp and ben. First of all, earlier it used to be compensation only. Now it is benefits also. Benefits ranging from medical insurance to what all benefits that you can assume. Then companies slowly introduce the variable pay practice. That also became part of your total rewards strategy. Then companies have been introducing ESOPs, which is long-term incentive program, ESOPs, to retain employees and engage with them fruitfully, and actually making them part of the growth journey. A very important element of total reward is actually which I would say is very, very subjective in nature or very, very fluid in nature, is the amount of money that the companies spend, or the time and energy that the companies spend in taking you through a leadership development program, or training and learning and development interventions, or the OD interventions that you take. I mean, it takes a lot of time and energy, not only of the HR department, but of the employees also. So where does this accounting go? There's no method of a human resources accounting which is happening. The human resources accounting in our accounting practices, actually in the finance practices, ends at only taking them as either a fixed variable, which is SG&A fixed in balance sheet. You take them as SG&A fixed, which is salary and general administration expenses. That's the only contribution that you have in the balance sheet vis-a-vis the human resource accounting practice. But this goes into your production variable, or it goes into your SG&A fixed. But the time and money that you spend in your L&D OD practice, that goes actually as if you look at balance sheets of the company, that goes actually as a consultant related expenses, which actually goes not as which actually goes into a type of miscellaneous expenses. Now, this never gets accounted as part of the human resources expenses, as part of the expenses related to employees. Number one. Number two, even if we are able to, and it's very easy to quantify the amount of money that we spend on consultants like Creating Values. I mean, you guys take a lot of projects from us, but even if I am able to quantify that, and I actually should be able to quantify that, that's not the point. The point that I'm trying to make is that how do I quantify the time that the employees who undergo the training program they have spent, and whether they are giving the ROI to the company? How do I quantify that? How do I quantify the many other things which are related to this? That actually is a very, very integral part of your total rewards, because the company is spending that kind of money and resources on you. Not only money is quantifiable, but the resources that they are spending, the time that they are spending, has to be quantifiable. And therefore, till the time that happens, the concept of total rewards will not evolve. A lot of companies have started doing that, but that area still has to be evolving. Nevertheless, having said that, any good company has to give this, has to make this as part of the employee value proposition rather than total rewards. So the value proposition, the value that I'm giving to you is not only money. Total rewards actually creates a perception that it's related to a monetary benefit, because reward are monetary or non-monetary in terms of, if you give them some certificates. But hardcore, it is perceived to be monetary. But if you talk about employee value proposition, which is the value that I'm giving, not only the reward, but the value, total value that I'm giving to the employee. If you talk about total value proposition, I think that will be a better idea. And so therefore, total reward then will mean that what kind of money that I'm spending on, not only on component practices, not only on ESOPs scheme, but also on learning and development of the employees, and also on employer branding. A lot of money is spent by the companies on employer branding. And and that's the total value proposition. That's a form of reward. I mean, a person standing, I'll just give an example. When I used to work in Unilever, believe me, if I used to walk into the cabin of a director of factories, and he used to be very, very senior, is normally generally very, very senior IS officer, he will actually step up and greet me. And mind it, Unilever does not pay even 25 paisa bribe to any government official. Even if you pay from your pocket, you're gone. You will lose your job. The kind of value that I'm receiving at that point of time, the brand that Unilever has created for me, I mean, that is something which is non-quantifiable, and that is non-monetary reward that I'm getting of being associated with a company like that. So I think total reward has to evolve like that. And if you look at total reward in this perspective, then a lot many things can be done. Apart from ESOPs, we also have a lot, very beautiful ESOPs program for our employees, senior employees. So that's my take on the subject.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Ashish. In fact, yes, rightly said. Maybe there is this, people are not aware, or rather organizations might not be completely aware about what total rewards is. And maybe it's that is why it's still considered as a puzzle, because you rightly mentioned total rewards should not be viewed only in monetary terms, but it is the monetary and the non-monetary aspects that an organization is investing, or rather building for an employee who has been associated with them. So with that, I'll direct the same question to Ms. Rati, that organizations are adopting total rewards, however unconventional it might be, but the applicability is still a puzzle. So what are your views on it?
So I think, Sujata, how Mr. Ashish has really described, that's really a very apt way to say. When we talk about total rewards, technically the fixed pay, variable pay, all the Mediclaim benefits, be it GHI, be it Mediclaim, all of that included, and all the benefits, be it including leave benefits, all of that really comprises of the total rewards. Now, if we talk about the other aspects, which is really the entire time, effort, and money that we as an organization put to upskill our people, to develop them, to engage them, I think putting that under TTR is not really probably maybe a right thing to do, but that's really what we are creating as an employer value proposition. And it's just not what you get in terms of the substantial benefit, but there are very non-tangible benefits also which form part of it. So the pride that today I have working with Max Bupa, that's something which is untangible, right? But when I go out in the market and I say that I'm working with Max Bupa, it has a very different meaning to it. So I think technically total rewards is something which pretty much forms a part of these 4 or 5 things that I just said, including the long-term benefits, be it LTIP or ESOP or phantom stock, whatever put together. But interestingly, Sujata, these days, and especially in the current times of COVID, the entire concept of total rewards or compensation is really undergoing a different definition. So I think in the days to come, today how we are defining TTR may be very different from how we will define in next couple of months. The entire concept to say what is fixed pay and today how things are is very different. Thankfully, I am working in a sector which is not impacted by COVID. In fact, insurance per se is really doing very well. We are doing better than where we were if I were to look at my Q1 results in FY19. So we are doing much better. But of course, as an organization, all of us are trying to, kind of conserve the cash to ensure there's continuity in the future. So, and there are many organizations and which have got really impacted, and the entire TTR definition has absolutely gone ballistic. So I think we will see many more changes coming in. We will see many more changes coming in terms of the definition of fixed pay, working hours, what these benefits means, what these employer value proposition means. I think we will surely see many more changes in the coming days.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Rati. In fact, it will be interesting to see, Mr. Ashish's thought, turn into reality someday, that, the total rewards framework as well as the employee value proposition might merge at some point of time. It might become a more unified proposition that employers establish for their employees. So that will be an interesting thing to say. And total rewards is something as simplistic as that, if anyone asks your employee that what is it that your company gives, CTC is not what should pop up in that individual's mind, because there are so many other things that the company is doing, and that is what total rewards is. So beyond CTC, the things that the company is doing for their employees is what employees should be aware of. And that is why it's not just about having these programs, but also sensitizing your employees, making your employees aware about what is it in, what is in it for them, and what is it that the organization is doing also becomes imperative. So on that note, I'll move to my next question. Yes.
I just have a viewpoint here. And since we are from HR, interestingly, while what you said that when we talk about CTC, we should not just talk about our fixed pay and variable pay. But interestingly, we being in HR, when we hire a candidate or when we evaluate a candidate or roll out an offer, what we ask is actually CTC only. So, ultimately, we always even offer them, which is what is in terms of fixed pay and what is variable pay. So, and I think we sometimes try to monetize everything too much, which is something which is not really necessary. Certain things should be left the way it is, and that is why we are in HR. And certain things should definitely be monetized or maybe should be quantified because they are bound to be. So I think we being in HR, while we say that TTR should include everything, but we do not apply it as much.
Sure. So maybe, yes, it'll take some time for even, these minutest of things to change or evolve. However, so many companies have started focusing on practices like creating a great candidate experience, and they do it with the intention of understanding that the potential employees would also have their own set of expectations. They are bringing their skill sets. So what is it that we can give them in return? So yes, several organizations have started their initiatives on this front. So, Ms. Rati, the next question is again for you. The current pandemic has changed the way employee engagement is conducted for remote and scattered workforce. Rewards and recognition is no different, and more emphasis is laid now on recognizing employees during tough times to keep them motivated. What are some of the changes that you have brought about within your own company? Although you've just mentioned that, yes, your industry per se is not, impacted the way several other industries might have been, but still your teams certainly are working remotely. So what are the changes that you have brought about in your R&R program?
Sure, Sujata. So while I say, let me just clarify this little bit. So while I say insurance per sector and health insurance to be specific has not been as impacted as other sectors, but it has impacted in a different manner. When I say different manner, what does it mean? It means the workload for my team, and when I say team, the entire business has just multiplied by 3 times, 4 times. The amount of queries. So for example, if typically my call center unit were getting like 60 calls in a day, today they are getting 130 calls in a day. And all of these team members are sitting and operating from home, where they face electricity challenges, where they say internet issues. And the number of calls, you can imagine during the peak time, it becomes very difficult for them to manage. So that ways, the amount of effort my team has to put in terms of ensuring that our customers get the right kind of experience, that has really multiplied by many times. Now, in this scenario, to keep them engaged, it's all the more important. So I would say it's a good problem to have, but definitely very challenging to manage while we are working remotely. So what we have couple of things, what we've started doing is my team, who's really responsible for employee engagement, our number of connects with employees, we have really increased that a lot. And what we've done is there are certain initiatives that we do it at an organizational level. So for example, be it Mother's Day or be it Father's Day, we publish certain communications. We publish those competitions, and where are people we've got this beautiful HRMS tool, and there's a social collaboration module in that. It's pretty much like Facebook. So people go and put their comments there. People, share their views, share their family pictures on whatever theme that we are running for that particular month. So that's one thing which happens at an organizational level. Secondly, there are these small groups. So my HR BPs who are responsible for respective zones, they run these small engagement activities for a specific set of group, which may not have more than 15, 20 people. So it's a small, close-knitted kind of activities that we run. That's the be kind of, making these antaksharis or making those Pictionaries. So those are the other set of activities that we do. Over and above that, what's really the most important thing is we have regular connect with the team from our CEO, from our functional heads, and from HR team. So we regularly connect with the team. We keep asking, how are you doing? And without any agenda. So, we just connect with them on a regular basis that how is it that's happening? What is it that you are pursuing as a hobby? We understand, they actually show us the kind of beautiful paintings they have drawn, the new hobbies that they have developed. So we are building that connect more closely, though we are doing it virtually, but that's the only way to do it right now. That's the other, the leadership communication. Sometimes it may be over communication, but I think in the given scenario, it's better to over communicate rather than under communicate. So that's something strongly that we are doing. The other piece, interestingly, in fact, yesterday only, we concluded our virtual rewards and recognition program. So we had all the entire leadership team coming together, all the awardees coming together and their families coming together, who saw their spouses, their sons and daughters getting recognized virtually in front of the entire organization. So we had created a very beautiful 3D setup. There were personalized cards and hampers sent to them. So, the point that I'm trying to make is, while we all of us are working under certain constraints, but how do we still leverage technology? How do we still build that connect? And it's an opportunity to reach out to their families. I think that is something that we as an organization, we are really trying hard to do that. And obviously, with respect to COVID, we are tracking people who have been infected by COVID-19. I mean, our own employees. We have introduced special ambulances for them, so which are at the cost of which is borne by the company. There is this entire tele-doctor who's available. So if I'm feeling down or feeling any kind of symptoms, I can reach out to this doctor over phone and I can speak and take certain basic, treatments. There is this entire app which has been introduced, wherein our employees have to update on regular basis that who all in their family are infected, what is their oxygen level right now, where are they admitted, if organization needs to do any intervention. So, and it's being tracked at a shareholder level. So you can imagine the kind of support that we intend to offer to our employees. I think that's something which is what is very heartening to see.
So ultimately, it is a form of total rewards, because it is, carrying and, rewarding them in a different manner altogether, in a humane manner altogether. So thank you, Ms. Rati, for sharing your views on the question that was posed. Mr. Ashish, you have touched upon this point earlier, so I will direct this question to you. Inclusion of core values in the rewards and recognition programs is gaining momentum. So do you feel this could lead to better adoption of values by employees? Your views on it?
Yes, this is gaining momentum. I do not know whether it will lead to better adoption of values by the employee, because somewhere adoption of a foreign value, value which is foreign to you, is dependent upon what value system do you follow. The value system that I follow has to be in line with this value system that I'm made to follow by the company. So a lot is dependent upon as an individual. So if intrinsically I am a person who is a dishonest, and one of the core values of the company, I'll actually be very wary of following that value until unless there's a stick on my head that if I'm caught, I will be out of a job. So whether it is helping us making it part of the DNA system of the employee, I do not know. Whether it is making them follow at a surface level, so that it is binding them to work in a particular manner and behave in a particular manner. Yes, I think it is doing that. But more than that, it has created an awareness among the employees, because if you ask all the employees across India, in a lot of companies, they have got pan-India operations and maybe global operations also. if you talk to all the employees, if I had talked to an employee who is sitting in Tanzania, I mean, one of my employees who's sitting in Tanzania or one of my employees who's sitting in Malaysia, they actually might not be aware of the value system of the company. But with the introduction of this RNR scheme, they and we have gamified that. You know, we have not made it a very routine or a very drab subject. We have gamified this recognition program, especially vis-a-vis the competency values. Now they at least are very aware, and they have got values on their fingertips. You know, somewhere that I think building block of ingraining that, grinding those value system over a period of time among the employees. You know, if you keep on talking, I mean, it will it becomes the value system. For example, you know, and I am touching a very contradictory subject. It might seem to be mythology, but you know, I am very sure that in the age of Ram would not have been treated as Bhagwan. I mean, he would have been actually a normal person, you know. And but with because the stories around him have been ingrained in the culture of India so much so that he has become a Mahapurush or whatever he has been now considered to be Bhagwan, you know. Whereas in his time, actually Darsharath को भी मालूम हुआ कि मैंने भगवान को पैदा किया है, you know. So that's how you ingrain value, you know. That's how you make certain folklore or certain practices part of your culture and your DNA system, you know. Right now, if you tell people that Ram was not Bhagwan, some guy will, and Vishnu Prasad guy will come and kill me, you know. So that is how it is, you know. You have to make the employees in the value system so much so that they are ready to sacrifice anything. But that happens over a period of time. I think with the recognition program, that has laid the foundation. I'm very sure 5,000 years from now, if any of us is alive, you know, and mark my words, write it down on a wall, Mahatma Gandhi will be treated as an avatar of some Bhagwan, I'm sure. Because, you know, right now he's just a person who's fought with non-violence. 5,000 years from now, if we keep on the value system what Mahatma Gandhi taught us, he would, उस समय पे लोगों को लगेगा यार ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता, इसका मतलब भगवान पैदा हुआ था जिसने किया था. So you know, to make it part of your DNA system, you have to make it part of your folklore. You have to make it, you have to give it a base and then develop from here. I think that recognition program is doing a good job of, you know, preparing this. Yeah.
Sure. So rewards and recognition certainly is one of the factors which can enhance at least the awareness that what are the core values that your organization stands for. Obviously, there are several other you know, interventions that need to be rolled out, and sustained efforts need to be invested. So to make those core values a part of the DNA that your employees should you know, practice and live by the values and not just talk about them. So that's still a long way to go. So with that, I'll move to my next question. And the next question, I'll keep it common to both the panelists. First, I'll go to Ms. Rati with the question. Ms. Rati, are there any significant changes that you are able to foresee with respect to employee recognition programs for the next couple of years? And what could possibly be those changes?
So Sujata, as I said, you know, a couple of minutes back, that I think the entire piece of whatever we are doing in HR, be it in terms of total rewards or recognition, or the way appraisals happen, or the way even contractual formalities are right now, I think all of this will actually undergo change. And so if I may just kind of illustrate it with a couple of examples when I say this, what do I mean? So today, for example, when we are talking about, you know, in terms of traditional fixed salary, that's going to change into a very flexible model. So we will have an entire very different atmosphere when we talk about the remote working, the part-time working, you know, compressed work week. So it could mean just working 4 days in a week. It could mean that we may hire contractual resources or retainers or consultants. You know, from a typical hours perspective, we may move towards more output based work. Why I'm saying all of this is because when we are shifting from the traditional method to a very non-conventional kind of a model, it is going to impact our recognition platform as well. What kind of rewards do we want to carry forward with? What's the kind of culture do we want to carry forward? Because if we are talking about a very a kind of very flexible kind of a setup wherein people will come and go, we'll have contractual kind of set, we'll have these gig workers. Is it really possible to cultivate and carry forward a certain kind of culture, right? And if that's not feasible, or if that's feasible, how do we recognize people who will be displaying those kind of values or displaying those kind of culture in the organization? So I think this entire piece has to be relooked. There will be certain platforms which will continue to be there the way they are. So for example, if I talk about typically the Chairman's Award or the the Founders Award or the Leader of the Year Award, I think those will continue, but the assessment criteria will vary. Because today, if you talk about the typical leader model, I mean, all of us being leaders, we are used to of a setup wherein our team is around us, we go, we hug them. Generally you will see men going for sutta rounds, and that is where they are bonding. Today, all of these leaders have to continue their work, bond with the team, but do all of that virtually. None of us are trained to manage our teams remotely for such a long duration. So I think the entire assessment model or the parameters of leadership qualities will also change. So we will talk more about in terms of agility, resilience, how many leaders are able to show that, how many leaders are able to show empathy. I think those competencies will stand out, and these competencies will actually be recognized in the days to come.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Rati. In fact, several important factors that you've touched upon. It is about, maybe emotional intelligence has already taken center stage, but it will become even more profound. And then it's not just about the current pandemic, but there are organizations which are talking and also have declared that they would move at least 25 to 30% of their entire workforce permanently, on the work from home model. So this that we talk about the new normal would stay as the normal for those companies, and they would have to virtually not just engage but reward and recognize the employees, with scattered and remote teams. So let's see what happens with that. So Mr. Ashish, the same question to you. Do you foresee any significant changes or even subtle changes happening in the way employees are recognized over the next couple of years, and what could they possibly be?
Yes, I think, in any case, as we said, that RNR program itself has changed without Corona, without this pandemic. It has changed over the period of years. It will definitely change, anything and everything is bound to change. As far as what specific changes will come, one, yes, we will need to devise ways to recognize employees who are sitting in their homes. Yet, as an individual contributor, when actually you're working in a group, and you, for example, when I say that, I have got an award which awards people on the core competencies on following the core competencies of a company. Have you done any exemplary work? Now, that core competency, if I'm changing the core competency definitions, then I need to change whether he will be able to exhibit anything related to core competencies sitting in his home. How would he show that? Now, I might therefore need to be much more mindful of what he's doing on a daily basis, how he's interacting on a daily basis, because what happens is there's an award which is known as peer award. So if I can nominate my peer to the HOD that this guy has done a good job, or I can nominate a peer across the function also to that HOD, and at the end of the month that HOD takes account of what are the nominations they have got and they reward the employee. But here, when they are interacting with each other, does this award still remain relevant to the people who are sitting at us? The other person does not know of his work, is not interacting with him on a daily basis. So all these things, we'll have to check the relevance of these things, especially for the people who are sitting in their home. And mind it, we have seen that sitting at home and working in home is much more difficult than working from office. I have been coming to office since 25th of May, and believe me, I wanted to come to office. Apart from Corona, मैंने बोला कोरोना से नहीं मरूंगा तो घर में बैठे बैठे मर जाऊंगा. Because one of course I'm afraid of my wife as anyone else is, but apart from that fact, I mean, it was so difficult that the timelines were blurred. As here from my office, if I go from my office at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening, I generally leave my workplace and I work here. But in those days, I saw the timelines being blurred, because सबको लगता था घर में तो बैठा हुआ है, तो my meetings will start at 9 o'clock in the night, in the evening, 10 o'clock in the evening. Sometimes it will go till 1 o'clock, and then and so that it was. I have experienced it firsthand that working from home is much more difficult because the timelines get blurred, the personal and the professional timelines getting blurred. How do I recognize this kind of work of the employee? And so I have to think about it, because this guy is actually going the extra mile without getting recognized for this work. I'll give you another example. One of our a lot of employees who are there in the other countries, Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia, and then you've got employees in Tanzania, then Australia. All these employees actually were sitting in home, and now to get orders, because especially Tanzania and Malaysia, there's still a lot of lockdown which is going on in a lot many places. Now to be able to talk to distributors and push our products was very, very difficult, and they could not go to the market. And the things, if you go to the market as a salesman, you are able to lubricate the wheels much more easily. These guys were sitting in their homes and trying to lubricate those wheels. I mean, it was very, very difficult. And normally, they were in their time zones. They were working till 1 o'clock in the night, and they were struggling. So we recently have come out with flexible working hours policy for them, actually. That because they are working in time zones which are very difficult, and they are working in lockdown period. So we have done away with we have come out with flexible working hours policy for them. And if someone is actually giving work after a certain number of hours, we are actually recognizing this employee. Because if I don't do that, first of all, this employee does not have this employee have a very easy option of telling me that, boss, my market is locked, the whole country is locked down, I will not be able to deliver. So if I don't recognize this employee, I stand a very, very good chance of not getting anything from the employee. Similarly, from my Indian employees, a lot of markets are still not open. A lot of markets are open which are with a lot of restrictions, like our northeast markets, are gradually opening up. But we have got super duper sales in the month of not only June, July, but in the month of April and May also, because these employees were working from their homes and pushing the products to the rural market which were open. So if you really want the employees to work for you, you really need to therefore change the criteria on which you base your reward system, R&R system, because the criteria will need to change because of this whole situation. So that's my take on the subject.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Ashish.
I would just like to add to what Ashish said, and that's a beautiful thing what Relaxo is doing, something similar. So the entire piece to say that all the recognitions have to be monetary, current scenario, not necessarily. So we've also actually launched a campaign called Stronger Than COVID, and similar to what Ashish was sharing, all those people who have done extraordinary work in the current scenario, wherein they were able to, because it was a time when the financial books were getting closed, the insurance entire thing was getting renegotiated. We launched an HRMS project during the lockdown period. So we actually picked up these people, and we picked up their pictures and a very strong, nice citations, and we circulated it, every week, 2 weeks, we circulated saying it's stronger than COVID. Here are our heroes. Let's recognize them. So I think that entire way, the way we recognize is actually getting changed. This is one of the example. And if we recall many, many years ago, when those 10 years, 15, 20 years, people were completing that kind of milestone in their organizations, they used to get these, wrist watches where the company logo was embedded and the names were written. I mean, none of us see that now. From there, we moved on to give those shields to our people. From shields, then we have moved on wherein we are giving exotic holiday packages. Now, in the current scenario, we are saying, okay, you collect your points and then you redeem them on Zozo, Pine Perks, any platform, and see whatever you want to take, you take it. So the kind of journey we have seen in this phase of recognition itself, I'm sure it's going to get much more different from what we are experiencing right now.
Certainly. And yes, it would always be a balance between, tangible and non-tangible, and like you mentioned, monetary and non-monetary rewards and recognition program. So we'll be quickly moving to the Q&A session. We have less time on hand because Mr. Ashish has another work commitment. So just a quick reminder to everyone about our next week's webinar. Please join us on 28th of August at 4 p.m. for how technology innovation can accelerate businesses in this decade. With that, we'll move to the Q&A session. We had pre-received a few questions from our registered participants. So I'll direct the first question to Mr. Ashish. Mr. Ashish, some organizations are inculcating professional development opportunities as part of R&R. And so what are your views on the same? You have already touched upon this when you were, answering one of the previous questions. So anything further if you wish to add on it?
I've already touched this topic. Yes, we also have this part as part of an R&R system, or maybe the total reward system, wherein we identify employees basis their potential and performance, long-term potential and long-term performance basis assessment centers and all, and we take them through a lot of leadership development programs. We also encourage them to enroll in courses from top institutes of India like IIMs and all, and depending upon what scheme he falls in, there might be partial payment of the fees or there might be full payment of the fees from the company side, and therefore we encourage them to and we actually give it a reward of that you can go and join this program and enhance your skills. So we did do this. I think a lot of good companies are already doing that, and it's a good practice to have. That this definitely gives you ROI. I mean, of course, if some employee in my team, let's say HR guy in my team says that, boss, I want to, learn footwear designing, I would not actually want him to go unless he wants to make a career in footwear designing and wants to join my R&D department. But just for the sake of learning footwear design, you cannot go there, because I will not have ROI. But keeping that ROI safe, I think we are doing that. We are already doing that, and good companies are doing that.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Ashish. Before moving to Ms. Rati, actually, there's one more question that was directed for Mr. Ashish. Maybe after that, he'll be free to go ahead and join the management meeting that he is committed for. So, Mr. Ashish, according to you, in the current times, how important is the role of technology in R&R? Ms. Rati has already touched upon this, but if even your views on the involvement of technology in employee recognition programs.
See, the technology in any area, just forget about R&R, as a practice. What has technology done? What has technology done is, one, it has done away with the whole, paper moving from one place to the other, and it has actually simplified the process, and it has actually, speed up the process. So that is number one, which happens in R&R area. You nominate an employee directly, HOD directly on his screen. Automatic reminders go to him to finalize the nomination, and he does it. A certain point of time he does it. Otherwise, the escalations go. So automating the whole, workflow system, technology has done it, and which is getting done in Relaxo also. What the other thing that IT does is actually is actually bringing about a lot of transparency in the system. Like right now, any of my employees vis-a-vis reward can go log into the system and see if my colleague has got an award, what was the logic that he has got an award, and who had nominated, when did he get the award, what is the logic sheet which is attached with the reward, and things like that. You can see that anyone can see anyone's reward logic. So I mean, the transparency that it has brought about. Then the other thing is communication. The moment I publish it on my HRMI system, our own internal success factor system, the moment I publish it on the system, it actually flashes on everyone's screen, and then therefore there's a widespread positive thing which can be communicated in a widespread manner, rather than if I had just sent a mail. Because sending a mail, people might forget, but if it flashes on your screen the next day when you log in, there's a lot more tendency to see it, and people do talk about it. So all these three things are happening with the reward recognition system, which system does it for any other process, and it is doing for the R&R system also.
Sure, thank you. So thank you, Mr. Ashish, for sharing your views on all the questions that were directed to you. And I take this opportunity to first of all thank you for being a part of today's panel discussion. In case you have to move out, then I would continue my questions with Ms. Rati.
Yeah, I'll move out, but before moving out, I would tell you that from next time onwards, if you are going to give such a beautiful introduction of me, I'll call my dad and बोलूँगा कम से कम जिंदगी में कोई एक आदमी है जो मेरे बारे में अच्छा बोलता है, सुन लो आके.
आप फोन लगवा दीजिएगा. I'll speak to him on the phone and I'll read out the introduction.
So thank you for such beautiful introduction. In fact, even if I told my mom, she would not have been able to give me such a good introduction. Thank you everyone for listening to me. Thanks. Bye. Thanks. Bye.
So Ms. Rati, we'll continue the Q&A session with you. There are a couple of questions that were directed specifically for you. In current times, should R&R focus more on behaviors that are demonstrated, versus the performance of an individual?
That's a difficult one, Sujata. Because yes, in the current scenario, what really matters is the behavior. The sheer fact that people are taking that risk of, managing or stepping out of their home, delivering the work, and even from home, the helps are not available. People are literally struggling. I mean, the day doesn't end before 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. The weekends are no more weekends. Every day seems to be same day. So, from behavior perspective, yes, that is definitely important. But ultimately, the more and more pressure is coming in terms of organization, be it in terms of, cost factor, the amount of business that they have to generate. So ultimately, outcomes are what finally will ensure that there is this business continuity which continues to be there. So, I would say pretty much it has to be balance of both. You can't just put in effort and not get results. Similarly, you can't get results until you put right amount of effort. So I think it has to be a balance of both.
Great. So ultimately, it is, if someone is going the extra mile, then that is the point. That is where in current times you need to recognize an employee to keep that individual motivated. So the next question, Ms. Rati, is has recognition taken precedence over tangible rewards in the current disruptive times? So just recognizing instead of giving something tangible in nature. Has that taken precedence?
So I would say, it has to be, again, one, there are certain behaviors, as I said, for example, we are running this campaign, which is like Stronger Than COVID. This is a campaign wherein those small things have been done, but the fact that they did it in certain difficult setup, working from home, where the vendor is not available, teams are not sitting together. So those recognitions are non-tangible, which is equally important for us to recognize, because that's the behavior, that's the culture that you would create in the organization. So that's very important. And that is what we did. In fact, I actually had a couple of people coming and saying why my name was not there in that recognition. So which means people know it is non-tangible, it's just the communication, but then yes, they want to be part of it. So therefore people do hold this very dearly. But yes, then obviously they also want to them certain kind of recognition to come to them, and not just monetary, but they want to be recognized in front of the CEO, they want to be recognized in front of the leadership team. So that's also very important for them. And especially if I have to talk about the the new gen, I think for them monetary piece really plays an important part. They are very sharp, they are very quick in terms of delivering their work, and therefore they want quick returns as well. So there are certain things you have to categorize. There are certain things which can be non-monetary, there are certain things which have to be monetary, so it has to be a balance.
Sure, and you've touched upon a very important aspect here that your rewards and recognition program has to be such that it caters to all genres of your employee base. It could be the Generation Z, it could be the baby boomers, it could be even someone who stayed with the organization for maybe 15-20 years. Then that individual's expectations, or just a pat on the back, is what would make that individual feel far more motivated and energized and recognized when it comes to the employee recognition programs that your organization has initiated or rather implemented. So yes, these are some of the important factors that would always lead to maybe modifying suitably whenever required, and accordingly introducing new practices in the system. Like I remember some of our clients, they've also, what they've done is that, their L&D program and the R&R program, they are also trying to look at a middle way in it. So any, or a team that has done extraordinarily well in these difficult times, that team is rather rewarded with a motivational workshop, or rather a skills enhancement sort of an L&D program. So that is the kind of recognition that they're giving. So it's, two hats at one time. One is your L&D program is certainly taken care of, and the employee is energized and motivated. So with that, thank you, Ms. Rati, for giving us your valuable time and for sharing your insights, your observations, your learnings, and some of the practices that you are currently following within your organization. And let's hope to see the face of employee recognition program evolve even further. And let's see what's in it, what's in surprise, what's in store for all of us. And I also take this opportunity to thank all of our attendees who've joined us on YouTube. Thank you so much, especially the ones who have been so consistent with us throughout these months and have attended all of our quarantine webinars, Cubinars as we call them. So this is Creating Values Cubinars Friday, signing off for today. Thank you so much, Ms. Rati, for being a part of it.
Thank you, Sujata, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be part of Creating Values always. You guys continue to make something or the other new, which is very nice. Thank you so much. Just last piece, while we are connected through technology, and all of us are watching us through technology, but I think what's really important is, while I know technology is the way, but then we need to maintain somewhere that the high tech with high touch. We are in HR and we all are social animals. So we have to ensure that somewhere that entire high touch also continues to be there while we sail through these difficult times. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rati. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you.